Hi, I'm Gemma and I work with businesses to help them identify their tax needs and internally to help bring you the topical tax updates that you need in your business. So Jake, why are we talking about EOTs today?
We're talking about EOTs today because we talk about EOTs with 90% of our clients at the moment. When there's 0% tax on offer, business owners are going to talk about it. They've heard about it down the pub, LinkedIn, some form of financial publication. That's why they're topical.
So everyone's talking about it. What is an EOT?
An EOT simply is a HMRC approved structure in which a business owner can sell a controlling interest, so 51% or more, of their company to a trust for the benefit of employees. That means employees get a sense of ownership, they can benefit in future profits, etc. But also it's an opportunity for business owners to crystallise value that they've built in the businesses.
Okay Jake, so that sounds pretty good. So why should owners choose an EOT over any other option?
Well, as I've already mentioned, EOTs can attract a 0% capital gains tax rate when business owners sell the shares to them. Therefore, compared to the standard rate of 20% or even 10% if they qualify for business asset disposal relief, it's a big benefit for exiting shareholders. Aside from that, a lot of clients that we work with like the idea of it being an employee-friendly sale. It's a structure that provides comfort to employees and job security compared to a third-party sale private equity investment.
So Jake, that's really good for the business owners. What's in it for the employees?
Well, as mentioned a few moments ago, obviously the increased job security for employees because the trust owns it for their benefit is a huge plus. On top of that, there are financial benefits in that once the company begins making profits in the future, the employees can actually share in those, typically after the exiting shareholders have been paid off, but still obviously that's a huge financial benefit down the line. The real kicker though is that the legislation allows for £3,600 per employee per year to be paid tax-free as an EOT bonus.
Oh wow, so $3,600 per employee?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so 100 employees, that's £360,000 tax-free from the business.
Exactly that. It means they can really move some significant value each year to their employees tax efficiently.
That's pretty good stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So that's pretty positive stuff, isn't it, for both the business owners and the employees?
Yeah, absolutely.
So do EOTs work for everybody?
Well, despite what certain online information might have you believe, I think, CP's view, my view is no, absolutely not. I think EOTs, are great. They have a time and a place with a certain fact pattern. But there's a lot of thought that needs to go into it before we get to a point of concluding that an EOT is right for any business.
Okay.
Now, I think really we tend to split that down into three. The first is EOTs need to be tailored to the business that they are going to be considered for. There is plenty of design choices, plenty of considerations, whether it be how many shares are going to be sold, how are those shares going to be funded, will you have an employee council to decide what recommendations are made to the trust. The list goes on, but just to give you a flavour of a few. And if those questions aren't answered before you go into a structure like this, it can really lead to a situation where you're trying to catch up after the fact. It might not be built for purpose out the gate, and you can actually end up causing yourself more commercial headaches than you have saved tax. So you've got to find that balance right. The other one that we see a lot and is super topical when you look at EOTs is about management. If you're looking to exit your business, you've got to make sure that management are bought into an EOT. Now, a lot of people might think, they get a share of profits, they'll probably make a great salary. When you consider salary plus the bonus from the EOT, what have they got to complain about? But in a lot of privately held businesses, and we've seen this in practice, second-tier management can quite often have an expectation that at some point in the future, they may get to own this business and have their own sale in the future, which could recognise millions for these individuals. So whilst an EOT is beneficial for all the employees, that lack of a sale for key management actually means that they may feel like it's a step back in terms of reward compared with what they had in their head. And if they're not bought in, who's running the business if you're wanting to exit?
Okay, so you shouldn't just assume that you're doing the best thing for everybody.
No, I think that's exactly that. I think for the wider employee base, it's great. But if you've got one or two key people that thought they were going to have the keys to the building, if you will, after current management left, there's no guarantee they're going to feel the same about an employee ownership compared with, say, a management buyout where they would have that type of ownership.
Yeah.
And the third point, which I think quite often gets overlooked, and unfortunately we have had clients come in and talk to us after putting EOTs in place, and this was a bit of a shock to them, is that EOTs are not a stopgap. They're not designed to be temporary sales with a view that they'll sell it on in 2, 3, 4 years' time. They're designed to be long-standing, they're designed to be there for the employees as they go through the generations. So it's not impossible to exit an EOT, but it is arduous, both from a legal trustee position, and the tax rates are very penal, to the point where actually it makes it much less tax efficient selling to an EOT and the EOT selling than doing one management buyout and then another. It just doesn't stack up from a tax perspective using them as a temporary fix.
Okay, so it's not a one-size-fits-all package, and it's something you need to consult heavily with your employees and your key people on.
Exactly that. You need people to be bought in. It's a commitment to your employees. It's a commitment to your management as to how you're going to operate the business going forward. It doesn't mean the day-to-day operation changes, but you're going into it with a new mindset, and ultimately the trust has got to make sure that it's being run for the benefit of all of those employees, not just a select few.
So Jake, there's plenty to think about there. What if people are thinking about an EOT now? Do they need to think about to conclude whether that's right for them or not?
Well, as we've chatted through there's clearly a lot of design points, a lot of considerations, both at shareholder management, wider employee level. All I can advise people to do is to find an advisor, hopefully us, with EOT knowledge. But make sure it's someone that's honest and open about if it's the right fit for you. There are cases out there of these things being sold off the shelf, as a one-size-fits-all. We've seen some of the downsides of that already. So really it's just to say, make sure whoever you're talking to, again, hopefully us, is going to be really open and honest if they don't think it's the right fit, and at least explore other alternative structures. Speaking openly, I would say the majority of clients that we talk about with EOTs end up not going down the route of EOT. We end up in an alternative structure, whether that be management buyout, whether it be some form of hybrid structure. There's a number of options. But I think ultimately what we've got to be really clear on here is it's got to be what's right for this business, not anyone else's.
Yeah. So Jake, that's all really interesting stuff, and thank you very much for your time today. Are there any other bits, any final points you want to leave us with?
I think, clearly we've chatted there through, some of the things to be aware of. I think it's just worth saying, we absolutely think EOTs are an incredible structure in the right circumstances. So, we're not for a second here saying that people shouldn't entertain EOTs. It's just make sure you go at them with a balanced view.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.